Well, a guy named Ruslan and Zuby did a video, which I get Ruslan is a Christian guy. I think Zuby's a Christian guy too, who are into singles ministry and stuff in the church. I guess Ruslan does something with church ministry to young adults in LA. I think unknowingly, he is making the point that Christian marriage is for elite men. And then by default, it's for elite women as well. And I thought it was profound. Like, boy, you are really making the point that marriage is not for the average person. And I would say even the average Christian as well, with the ideology that you're subscribing to. So let's get to it here with Ruslan and Zuby.
So if you are,
if you're in the 1%,
yes,
with fitness, that could transfer, that mentality could transfer to other areas.
Absolutely, right? And so, or if you're looking at marriage statistics, right, you have to remember.
So they're talking about working out, and if you can get yourself as a younger man, into the top 1% in fitness, working out, doing well in that area, then that can translate over into finding yourself a good wife, right? Let's continue on.
When you're saying that there is let's say a 35 or 40% divorce rate, you have to consider that is including everything and everybody.
Sure.
Okay. If you are super Mr. Average Joe and you have no faith and no fitness and your money is average or below par and your morals and convictions and willpower, if you're just
you're sloppy,
right? If you're super sloppy, then okay, like that stat applies to you.
Yes.
If you have your stuff together, if you're there and you're earning a good salary, and you're well educated, and you've got like your stuff, then if you want to look at statistics, look at the statistics for your demographic.
Yeah, it's good.
You see what I mean? Right.
So notice, if you're earning a good salary and you're in shape and you're well educated, well, then you may be on the fast track to have a successful marriage.
Why are you looking at the total average ones? When, if you're not, I think one of the biggest keys to self-awareness is knowing when you are the norm and knowing when you are the exception.
So what they're talking about here, I'll give a link to the video. You can watch the video. It's interesting, and I'm not saying it's not bad advice, but I'm saying they are making the point that marriage is for elite people. And I think that is a really lousy message to send. They'll even go on to say that if you make enough money, then boy, the divorce rate for you plummets. Here, let me go to that.
But no one is saying, oh, wait, hang on. Actually, if you earn over $100,000 a year, I think the divorce rate drops below 15%.
It's low.
Right?
With the more you over 200, it falls off a cliff.
Yeah. Okay. So say household earnings over 200,000. Don't quote me on this. It might be like under 10%.
Yeah.
And then you add the religious faith on top of that.
Yeah.
Or you add the other things on top, right? Like,
so, hey, you have a good chance of having a successful marriage if your household earnings are above 100 grand. And then Ruslan, boy, he says, hey, well, if it's above 200 grand, well, then you're doing even better. Boy, it just drops off a cliff. Now, what? Well, hey, everybody, just go out there and earn 200 grand a year and you'll be all good. Like, what planet do these people live on? Do you know how many people household incomes are over $200,000 a year? Like, what? The average household income is like 65 grand a year. So what is that? 3-4 times what the average income? Yeah, just go ahead and have that, or even 100 grand. That's almost 1 or 2 times the average household income. That's average. So they are, what I'm picking up from them, you guys can watch this video, but I'm picking up from them, yes, marriage is for elite people. Even, I think they're making the point, even Christian marriage is for the elite, not really for the average. They're saying, hey, don't be average and you'll be okay. Just don't be average. If you're an average guy, well, probably, I don't know if you could even get an average girl, but, and they even make the point here that people aren't looking for, or at least I think women aren't looking for an average guy. They're not looking for the average guy. Let me go to the video here.
And so on. A lot of people even if they have that realization of, hey, actually, I want to get married, I want to have a family, they don't realize that until later. I think a lot of men won't get there until their late 20s, early 30s, and that says a lot
in terms of their mindset.
In terms about their mindset,
Okay,
right? And
fair.
even the women, right? Even the
Sure.
women, you talk to young women, and they're like, you know, a man is not in the top 5 things they're looking for.
Yeah.
Right? Career, education, having fun, their freedom, their this, their that. Like it's not not, until they get to 30 plus, they're not thinking like, oh, I'm looking for a husband, right? Some of them are even put off by the idea.
So yeah, until they get into their 30s, they're not looking for a husband. Now, what he leaves out is that they're not looking for an average husband until they get to their 30s. And I think that's increasingly true. To say the average age for people getting married now, I think, what is it, like 28 for women, 29 for men, something like that in the US. They make the point in the video that in the UK it's even higher. It's like 31 for the average person or whatever. But he left out that the average woman is not looking even to get married because she's focused on career and education and blah, blah, whatever. But she's not looking for the average man, right? Now, if the way above average man wanted to marry her, absolutely she'd get married at those younger ages, I think. He left that part out. You know, if Brad Pitt came along and said, hey, let's get married, you think that young girl would be like, oh no, I just let her, or I guess Brad Pitt is getting kind of old, but you know what I'm saying? Some very high status man came along. You darn well better believe they'd want to get married. I mean, come on, like that. But I think it's true. Yeah, they don't want to get married to the average guy until 30. The biological clock starts ticking. So okay, yeah, let's get married. I think they're in error here though, because they're saying that marriage, even Christian marriage, is for the elite. Now, I did a video on this about Christian marriages for the elite, about an article that Dalrock did that I thought was really interesting. They are making his point here.
If we look out at a demographic of people and we find out that out of all these different tribes of people, these guys over here tend to be the most in shape and have the best BMI and the lowest body fat percentage. Wouldn't, if those folks over there are the leanest and have the best muscles and got the best body, and I aspire to build muscle, wouldn't I want to go over there and examine why are these people so successful?
Absolutely.
Right. And so if we look at Christian marriage versus secular marriage, which, by the way, this entire notion that there's a 50% divorce rate is nonsense. It's between 35 and 40. But then we look at Christian marriage and we find out that folks who go to church regularly and are, practicing their faith, taking their faith seriously, and those folks end up getting divorced at the lowest rates.
Yes.
If those folks have a slightly above average income, the whole divorce rate plummets.
Yep.
So again, Ruslan keeps hitting on, hey, if you're an above average guy, if you work out and you're above average there, well, that can translate over into marriage. So the basic message is don't be average if you want to get married and stay married, I think is the the basic point of this video. And I'm like, hey, that actually in 2023 might be good advice. But I'm telling you, if you're a minister of the gospel and that's what you're saying about biblical marriage, that's the state of biblical marriage in our society, then we've got work to do other than just tell the young men that, hey, make sure you're not average and make sure you're making above 100K and then you can maybe not be one of the divorce statistics of, I don't know, 40% divorce. I don't know. It seems like they couldn't decide if it's 35%, 40, 50%, something like that. But even if it's 35, that's still pretty bad. I mean, if somebody gave you a parachute and said, hey, get in this airplane and jump on out, that parachute's got a 35% chance of not deploying, would you put it on and risk it? Well, I wouldn't. I mean, I would. This is coming from a married guy. I'm a happily married guy, but still, 35%, that's pretty rough. So we got to get this turned around. But even with all that being said, even that it seems to be pervasive that marriage is for the elites. Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Post Millennial Man.